Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a Blue Cross Blue Shield FEHB plan and you're approaching age 65 where Medicare is going to come into the picture, you are going to want to watch this video to understand how Blue Cross is going to work with Medicare and the solutions or the combinations that get really expensive really quick and the solutions that actually are quite cost effective. Deciding what plan to be on with Medicare is a huge decision, and I'm here to help you make it here today, okay? And if you're new to the channel, welcome. It's so good to have you. My name is Dallin Hawes. I'm a financial planner who serves people just like you, federal employees just like you. And let's dive right in. Again, if you have Blue Cross, okay, Blue Cross has two main plans, okay, two main plans. They have Blue Cross Basic, okay, and Blue Cross Standard. These are by far the two Blue Cross plans that most federal employees end up using. Blue Cross Basic is the cheaper one, okay, Blue Cross Standard is the more expensive one, where one of the biggest differences here is Blue Cross Standard. I think there's other differences, but the main difference is Blue Cross Standard will allow you to go to any providers you want. You don't have to stay in network. That's one of the biggest differences between Basic and Standard, but there's other differences as well. But I'm not going to go into all those things today, okay? So long story short, if you have one of these plans, Blue Cross Basic and Blue Cross Standard, and you're thinking about Medicare, here are some of the things to consider. So, as I said, Blue Cross Standard is the more expensive plan, okay? It costs more. The premiums are higher, okay? And if you didn't know already, Medicare, okay? So Medicare has two parts, Medicare A and B. Now, Medicare actually has more parts than two, but the two parts that most federal employees actually use are A and B. The other parts most feds just simply don't need. Okay, Part A, Medicare A, is free. That's a no-brainer. It almost never makes sense not to take Medicare A when you turn 65. Medicare becomes an option at 65. Okay, Medicare Part B, however, costs money. It's not free, and right now it's about $175 per month per person. Okay, $175 per month per person. Okay, so it's not the cheapest thing in the world. However, most feds actually do take Medicare A and B, and there's a number of reasons why, which I'll get to. But long story short, if you do this next combination, this will get very expensive. Okay, if you are on Blue Cross Standard, where again, that's the most expensive Blue Cross plan, the premiums are high, and you're on Medicare A and B, that means you're going to pay $175 per month per person for Medicare, okay? So that's, let's say, $350, okay? You're paying $350 a month if you and your spouse are on Medicare B. And if you're on Blue Cross Standard, you're paying whatever those premiums are as well, maybe $500, $600 a month, maybe more if you have a family plan. So long story short, you can be paying $800, $900 a month easily in premiums alone with Blue Cross Standard and Medicare A and B. Now, the coverage will be really good, certainly, because Blue Cross Standard is good coverage, and you have Medicare A and B on top of that. So the coverage would be really, really good. But let me talk you through a different scenario that could be a lot more cost effective. Again, I don't know your situation. There may be reasons for you that Blue Cross Standard is perfect and is great for you. But let me just talk you through a different scenario. So Blue Cross Basic, let's take a look at that one really quick. So Blue Cross Basic has a couple key differences with Standard. Okay, one of the first differences is it's cheaper, right? Now, one of the big things is they don't let you go to any provider you want. You normally have to stay in network, but the Blue Cross network is really big. So most people actually aren't affected by that too much. But again, I don't know your situation, okay? But the next big difference between these two is how it interacts with Medicare. So Blue Cross Basic will actually give you a reimbursement to help pay for the cost of Medicare Part B, this $175 per month. As of 2024, Blue Cross Basic will pay you $800, okay? $800 per year per person. So if you're married, $1,600 to help pay for the cost of this. And the premiums for Blue Cross Basic are lower. Now, I'm not sure why Blue Cross Standard doesn't give you a reimbursement for Medicare, but they simply don't, okay? I don't know why, but they don't. So actually, after the dust settles, being on Blue Cross Basic, where the premiums are lower and they're going to give you a Medicare reimbursement, having Medicare A and B is still great coverage. You still have, this will become your primary. Blue Cross Basic often picks up everything else after that, okay, depending on the type of services you are going after. And so long story short, the net cost, if you have basic compared to standard just for premiums, is significantly lower, right? Thousands of dollars cheaper every single year. And the coverage, again, is still very good. Now, again, I don't know. There may be a specific thing standard covers for you that's very important to you. I don't know. I'm just saying I've seen a lot of clients go through this where they've moved down to basic. They've jumped on Medicare A and B. They saved a ton of money in premiums compared to if they just stayed on standard. Okay, and they had great coverage because Medicare, again, was their primary, and then Blue Cross Basic was their secondary, and basically picked up everything else that was left. Okay, so I don't know what makes sense for you. I simply have no clue. But this is a very common scenario where basic actually plays a lot nicer with Medicare because they give you the reimbursement. And Blue Cross Standard doesn't give you any benefit per se. Well, I'll take that back. They do become secondary, so they often waive things like out-of-pocket costs, co-pays. But again, with Blue Cross Standard, that was never really a huge issue to begin with. So this is a great strategy to consider. And regardless of who you have, Blue Cross or Aetna or Kaiser, whoever, you want to make sure you understand how the plan changes if you get on Medicare. Now, if you don't know if you want Medicare or not, I've got whole videos on that. That's a whole different conversation. But most federal employees do end up getting on Medicare A and B. So I hope that's helpful. Hopefully that gives you some insight if you have a Blue Cross plan. And I'll see you guys next time.